Whatever the fuck. Like, this is going to be a schmozzle anyway. Hello, everybody. This is Glenn and Ben from Good Movie Monday, sitting in the office environment like we did a year ago. We haven't.
Well, no, we haven't done it.
You want your microphone?
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise we were using the
It helps if people want to hear us.
mics.
It helps if people want to hear us. We used to react to movies that we'd seen during the week, and we stopped doing it. I think you just didn't like them.
I am not a big fan of video because I look like Sasquatch. But also...
Pretty harsh light on us in here too, by the way.
We haven't done it since you moved. I think this is the first time we've done it in the new house.
It is, but we also haven't done it in the old house for a very long time. I reckon it's been about a year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so... yeah. We're going to do it. We've been to the movies this week to see a few films, and we're going to talk about them one at a time. Well, I've seen Barbie. If you want to know what I think of Barbie, listen to Good Movie Monday this week, and I'll go through that. But we saw... Where do you want to start?
Well, let's start. Well, let's just do them in order.
All right, so what was the first we saw?
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer. Alrighty.
We saw Oppenheimer at IMAX, which is a great way to see that film, kind of. Because it does go for like 160 minutes or 180 minutes or something
3
outrageous.
hours. 3 hours, according to Google.
Something outrageous like that. It's like the old VHS tapes. It's 180 minutes. 180 minutes of back-breaking torture. You have to watch the show.
That's an endorsement there.
No, look, it's the movie. Look,
I liked it. I did like it. I do have some issues with it as well. The length being one of them.
It's just unnecessary.
Definitely unnecessary. But I also had an issue with the structure of the film and the way it was told. Like, I don't mind films that jump back and forward in time, but I think this one was a bit confusing on where it jumped back and forth.
Well, because he kept changing between color and black and white, but they weren't necessarily in the where he was jumping. That didn't reflect where it was
jumping. The black and white
back.
confused me. If it had represented one particular thing and I knew what that thing was, that wouldn't be a problem, but I didn't at first. I thought I did. I thought it was like the hearing.
But then they also made no effort to de-age Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy in the
so when
university.
he's playing like a Cambridge student, and when he's developing the bomb, or when he's an old man after the whole thing, he looks exactly the same. Like maybe his haircut changes, or he was wearing a hat. I think that's the big difference. When he's older, he's wearing a hat.
Yeah. Which when you look up photos of the real Oppenheimer, he doesn't wear a hat very often.
Yeah, right.
There's like one or two photos with that hat. I think it just looks iconic.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look, it's good, and he's a very charismatic actor, and he's fine. And it's Christopher Nolan, so it looks fantastic. All that sort of stuff. Where I felt it really failed is that the kind of the way the film works is it covers the recruitment, the kind of the discovery or the study of new physics, which is what led to the splitting of the atom and all that sort of stuff. It covers the development of the bomb, using the bomb, and then the kind of aftermath and how Oppenheimer was kind of demonized afterwards.
Yep.
Due to the political machinations of one of the other characters, and I don't want to say who because it's a bit of a spoiler.
Yep.
The problem where it really failed for me is that you didn't get that. A lot of times when you watch that kind of movie, the main thrust of that end part of the demonization part is so that you get outraged on their behalf. Like, this person was like they try and do it in Sully, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Where, this guy is a hero, and now that it's politically expedient, we're going to blame him for all of our decisions because the American government will not take responsibility for their own actions.
Yeah.
And where they really failed is that I didn't feel that sense of outrage because it wasn't really made clear what they were really censoring him for, or what the penalty was, or even...
What I kind of liked about this in terms of that kind of thing is I think there's a lot of moral ambiguity going on in this film, in that, I guess, in a way, they're putting him on trial for the audience to decide, and America on trial, I think.
Yeah, but it wasn't really even about the development of the bomb or using the bomb. It was more about the security leaks.
Oh, yes, it was, but what I think is also...
Which it turns out was them anyway.
I didn't like him having the flashbacky kind of stuff, like the trauma and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, it did the whole, it put the question, was this a justifiable act kind of thing? On one hand, it's an evil and abhorrent thing when you've got today's sensibilities looking back in
Yeah.
hindsight. But then you've also got the 1945 dilemma of we've got to beat them before they bomb us.
Well, that's it. Like,
Right.
look, by them not doing it, it certainly wasn't going to
Yeah.
stop the
But that's what I
creation
liked.
of the
I
bomb.
think the film successfully puts that question to the audience and doesn't actually vilify America for doing it.
Well, not for developing the bomb. It
No.
certainly vilifies them for dropping it twice on Japan,
Well,
who had
yes.
essentially already surrendered.
Yes, absolutely. But I guess that's true. That's a good point. And
Yeah,
we're not going to go into that.
Yeah, and then it has this great, and like so many of these fundamentally important American figures are played by British actors, which I always love Chris Nolan doing.
Yep.
I think it's Gary Oldman plays, was it it's not Eisenhower or
Oh, it's not Truman.
Truman or whatever American president is. But they're talking about
Truman.
trying to
I think it was Truman. Yeah.
figure out where else to use it. Like they just want to keep dropping the bomb, and he's like,
Yeah, yeah.
he's like, don't get this crybaby, don't let this crybaby in to see me ever again.
Yeah. You didn't call the order. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing too. Is by the time you get to that point in the film, you're worn down by it all. Although, like, it's hard to fall asleep in this film when the soundtrack, the soundscape, just rumbles and just goes right through you.
And it definitely does work in that IMAX kind of cinema with that sound,
Yes.
and like it's like you're sitting in a 4DX cinema almost.
The whole Trinity Project stuff is great, which is where they're in the desert testing the bomb. I think that stuff was fantastic. That was depicted in Roland Joffe's Fat Boy, Little Man, Fat Boy movie, which is the same. Is that portion of Oppenheimer told in one film?
In the Los Alamos section.
Yes.
But I think I did say this, and I can't remember if I mentioned it the other day, but at that point in the film when they're waiting for the test to happen, and the guy goes, we've got an hour and a half. Got an hour and a half to before the bomb goes off, and I leant to you, and I'm like, "We're going to watch this in fucking real time."
Real time.
And I was joking, thinking that the movie was almost over. No, there was another hour and a half left.
Yep. It's like watching Failsafe all over again, like just real time.
Just drop it, don't drop it. Let's just move on.
It's like watching 24.
Yeah.
Dear. Anyway,
I just watched the 24th hour.
I give it a thumbs up. I think if you like films like JFK, because it's got a very similar structure to JFK, and I keep banging on about that, how I felt like I was watching an Oliver Stone movie.
Or like 13 Days that we mentioned briefly.
Yeah, which
is
is a much shorter film, thank goodness.
A much bigger scope and a much shorter film.
I am looking forward to seeing Oppenheimer at home on my own television. I think I'll probably get a lot more out of it because there is a lot of complexity and confusion in the film that
I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, except for maybe the Florence Pugh scenes.
Fair enough. Should we move on to the next one? What was the other film we saw? Second.
I was just
A dramatic pause.
keeping silent to let that gag sink in. Then we watched Sisu. Sisu.
Did we see 2 or 3 this week?
We only saw 2. You saw 3.
Yes. Oh, I've lost track. I'm so knackered.
You saw Barbie as well. I didn't see Barbie.
That's right. Of course. All right.
And then we
Sisu.
Yeah.
The movie I described in a review I wrote as it is Tarantino meets Peckinpah, and it's a war film that is Rambo. It's a war film that is Inglourious Bastards. It's fucking Cross of Iron. It's fucking all of those put together. And I loved it. It's a short movie. It's a snappy movie. It moves like at breakneck pace, and it's carnage galore.
Full of short bursts of extreme violence.
And I love that it took place in the Lapland War. That I've never seen that particular part of the war. It was a very short war. I think it was like a...
And so utterly devastating.
Yes, absolutely.
That's, the Nazis had a scorched earth policy in Finland where they just killed and destroyed everything that they came across. 100% everything.
Yep. They are a steamroller that just takes out everything. And the movie the gist of it is there is one particular man that's been living off the grid for a while. He's removed himself from all conflict, and he's a prospector, gold miner, comes across the motherlode of gold, and then as he's trying to take said gold to cash in, runs into the Nazis who try to kill him for the gold, and unsuccessfully so. He turns into Rambo. Of course, he's got a secret military pass, which is not a spoiler by any means, and he just maims Nazis.
Just brutalizes them in the most satisfying way. I mean, look, the other movie that we were going to talk about was Indiana Jones, and I was going to say this
I knew there was another one, so I'm fucking thinking, I'm going crazy
the
here.
other like Indiana Jones, it's good to see like the villain that no one can get upset about.
Yep.
The Nazis.
Yep.
Like you can do whatever you want to Nazis, male or female, and it's okay.
Absolutely.
Because they're universally acknowledged as monsters.
Yep. And yeah, I mean the first kill in this is very satisfying. It's so swift and so quick. And then then there's some fucking really clever and ingenious one. I personally loved it when this one jumps the shark a few times. There's like an underwater sequence which I thought was fantastic. There's a fucking airplane sequence. And I'm watching that thinking, you know what, this is just ridiculous. And I didn't care. Like,
no.
I didn't care.
And there's a great, not since Die Hard 4.0 have I seen a better motorcycle versus airplane. I guess Die Hard is a car versus you kill the helicopter with a car.
Never underestimate the power and the strength of a pickaxe.
Yeah.
Right, I've got to say.
It can, it's like a universal tool.
It can, it'll save your day. It'll
Yeah.
save your day. So there's not much more to add. This is the guy that made Rare Exports. And
Yes.
most of the cast are from his previous two films, because he also made Big Game, I think it was, the Samuel L. Jackson one about the plane that crashed in the wilderness.
Which is great, yeah.
And so there's a young Finnish actor who's sort of got a bit of an Inuit kind of Asian look about him. He was the kid in Rare Exports.
Right.
Yeah, and the guy that plays Sisu has been in both of those
Is he
previous
Santa
films.
Claus in
I think he might
Rare
have been.
Export?
I think he might have been.
Is-
but
is that
he's
kind
so
of guy.
good. I hope this is one of those stories where he gets picked up in Hollywood and becomes like Christoph Waltz. He's had a long and celebrated career in Finland, and now he's like the
Now he's
hottest
that guy.
property
But
in America.
I don't know. Like Christoph Waltz got it because he talks almost non-stop in Inglourious Basterds, whereas this guy, I think,
This could be
literally
his thing. This could be his thing.
he only speaks right at the end.
I mean, he could be like the new Liam Neeson, where he's just doing revenge films. Like, that could be it. I reckon that I'd pay to see this guy, or that guy that's doing the Charles Bronson stuff now.
Yeah.
He's
Like,
in
I
Mark
love-
Savage's new movie.
I love the idea, but he's a terrible, terrible actor.
I've liked some things he's been in. The likeness is uncanny.
Ridiculous. Ridiculously close likeness.
Before we wrap up, do you want to touch upon Indiana Jones? It's been out for a while,
Yeah.
but you've only seen
I'm
it
curious.
recently.
I only saw it on the last weekend.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoyed it. I thought, look, once again, 3 hours too long. They
Way too long. And
Could have cut an hour out of it, and it did have some problems, mainly revolving around the character arc of his goddaughter. Whose name I can't remember now.
from Fleabag, Lola Bridger, or whatever her name is.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yep, that's it.
Like she just changed tact. It would have been better had she remained
Loyal.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I
and
haven't-
not so quick to kind of change teams, so to speak.
That bothered me. And just before you go on, like, I enjoyed this film, but I do think it's the lesser of all the Indiana Jones. Like, if I was to rank him, it would be my last preference.
I think I enjoyed it more than Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
Yet I think Crystal Skull in the last 10 years has been the one I've gone back and rewatched the most times.
I have I've watched it a lot.
I
And
know
the
you
thing,
love
the
it.
funny thing is, since this movie's come out, there's been a lot of in defense of Crystal Skull videos that have popped up. People that have gone back to the last one and gone, "Hey, this is not as bad as we thought it was."
I still found Crystal Skull to be a lot more fake looking.
Oh, yes,
In this
I
one?
agree with you.
But-
I agree with you there.
I understand what Spielberg was going for, because Indiana Jones is always supposed to be a throwback to those serials with
Yeah.
painted backgrounds
Yeah.
and the whole thing. It's just in the modern kind of world with the TVs and the cinemas being so high definition,
Yeah.
that stuff doesn't work anymore. It's we released this film called The Editor. Which is
Astron
now
6
like
movie.
Astron 6 movie about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago. And it's a homage to Giallo film. And they originally they were going to redub all of the voices in it so that it didn't sync properly. So it,
Yep.
like in traditional Giallos, because they filmed those silent and then dubbed in the audio later. And most of the time they were just counting backwards from 10.
Yeah.
They're not actually saying
Yeah.
any lines of dialogue. But they said when they did it, it just looked like it was out of sync. It didn't look like a stylistic choice. It looked wrong.
Yeah,
and I think
gotcha.
that's where Crystal Skull kind of falls down.
I get it. It's
Whereas-
a miscalculation.
Yeah,
yeah.
which they fixed it in this one, but
But what? Okay, so the differences for me for the two films are, and this is where I think the best defense for Crystal Skull comes into it. Crystal Skull follows the formula of the first three, right? So there's a treasure hunt happening. Like there's clues, there's maps. This one doesn't have that at all. There's no actual treasure hunt in this. They've already got what they need.
They have the. It's just keeping it out of the hands of the
and I don't
bad
think
guys.
structurally that works for what has been a fairly fluent franchise. And so that's my biggest gripe with it. I've got another gripe with where the film goes. I think they missed a few opportunities. They could have taken it in another direction, which I'm going to talk to you about after we wrap. I don't want to spoil it for people because it would be a major spoiler. But what I will say is, if people had a problem with aliens in Crystal Skull and that was jumping the shark, well, I'll tell you what, this one goes far fucking further than aliens. So.
It certainly does, in a really bizarre way.
And I didn't like that because, and I got really defensive of Crystal Skull when I saw all that because I'm like, hang on a second, like, people I know are going to come out raving about this movie, you know, and yet they're the ones that probably slagged off the last one.
Although it's turned out to be a bit of a disappointment.
It has.
Like, at least at the
I have
box
seen
office.
some people try to defend it. But
And it is, look, I think it's wrong to define the quality of a film by its box office.
Yes.
So I don't know, and I haven't been reading reviews. I don't know. I actually don't know if it's been slammed or applauded. It's just not the hit financially that they wanted it to be. But certain aspects of it, like all of the stuff with him kind of retiring as a professor, and the whole the parade stuff at the start, and you know, all that kind of stuff was great. The stuff in Morocco was kind of like a Indiana Jones meets James Bond kind of moment. That was all good. The stuff on the train,
there's great things.
Was good. Yes. Like there's great bits, but just kind of.
And it captures the aesthetic of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like it feels like that, but then you've also you throw in shameless cameos in there, which I didn't like. Just look, it went in directions I didn't want it to go in. But overall, I enjoyed it. I will watch it again, but I hope that they do. Like I hope they've listened to the audience and there's a director's cut that takes time out of it. Like I don't know. I just think it was a bit self-indulgent.
Or a producer's cut that takes time out of it.
I think it didn't bother me that Indy was old, as you said. Just missing those beats. And I think the last four movies all had a lot in common in that they had the gross out moments with face melts and things like that. They had the bugs and stuff. They had an equivalent with rats. This one didn't really have that. It had bugs again. Like it didn't really do anything.
But it's such a small point. It is much more Temple of Doom. Like Temple of Doom doesn't actually follow that structure either.
I feel like
because
it does,
because he's only there because he's running from the gangsters in Shanghai, and he just stumbles across the Kali cult.
Yeah,
like there's no treasure hunt in Temple of Doom.
No, but he's got a mission. Like
he's trying to get back the stone for the village, but it's such a minor point.
Yeah. No, I'll concede that for sure. But yeah, look, if I liked it, didn't love it, and if I'm ranking a 1 to 5, this is number 5 for me.
Because I mean, that is my problem with that style of movie now is that I think it's kind of been done too much. Mm-hmm. When you watch those films and they're the way that they figure stuff out is too much of a leap of faith. Like they look at an old thing and they go, well, this could be this and this could be this, and you're like, it could easily be like 10,000 other things. Like there's no real evidence back. They're all theories that they just happen to be right again and again and again.
Yeah.
Rather, it's like, I don't know if you remember watching Sahara.
Yeah, I do.
And I remember when Sahara came out, and it came out with National Treasure, and I remember thinking around the same time, because they always do those movies in twos. And I remember thinking, National Treasure is going to be the pulpy shit one, and Sahara is going to be the proper one. And I could not have been more wrong. National Treasure is brilliant. Sahara is a terrible film. But the books, it's based on the Clive Cussler books, and the books are the same. Where that guy, the main character played by Matthew McConaughey, I think in Sahara, just happens to be. It's like watching the old Batman TV series where he just happens to have shark repellent in his everything that guy comes up against. Like, I just happen to be a world-class diver and an archaeologist and a mountain climber and I can fly a plane. Like, I don't know about you, but I learn maybe one new thing a year, and the rest of the time I spend just scratching myself, and that's mentally taxing. I don't know where these guys find all their time to get their 10 million PhDs plus a certification in all these things and do it enough to actually become good at it. Not just
Hey, Oppenheimer learnt a language in
like
weeks.
I learned how to cook cook sausages. But if I don't make sausages again for 2 years, I have to learn it again. I just burn them. I was like, how long do I put these in there for? Oh, that's right.
Not all of us have that problem.
I just think, but you do.
Yeah,
you know
I
what
know
I
what
mean?
you
Like, it's like if you're a builder. There are what separates an amateur
Requalifying, yeah.
carpenter from a professional is because the professional does it over and over again, so he knows. If I do it this way, then this will do this, and this is how this works together, and you can second guess problems that are going to come up later.
They maintain
which you
their
don't see.
qualifications.
Yeah, but they, which you don't get if you're not doing it for
Correct.
long periods of time.
Practice makes perfect.
That's
I don't know
right. But anyway.
how we got to there, but we did. And
Yeah.
all I will end with is that I think if you're going to de-age a character, de-age their voice too.
Well,
80-year-old voice.
I didn't mind that so much because I figured that Harrison Ford's had that same voice his entire life. Like you go back and watch him in the you watch Mark Hamill do his impression of Harrison Ford, in Star Wars, when he does that kid, if they're looking at your hair, we got bigger problems. Like he sounds exactly the same.
Should have got him to do it.
Yeah, it should have just got. Yeah, why didn't they just get Mark Hamill in to do the young Indiana Jones
I
voice?
don't know, but there you go. Whole lot of movies for you people. And
But I get to say, I think maybe I'm speaking against the grain, but I wouldn't mind a Phoebe Waller-Bridge spin-off series as that different character.
there's all kinds of
doing
ways
stuff.
they can take this franchise. I think they're going to let it lie for about 5 years and then they'll revive it. And what I would like, and I'd be happy with that. I'd be happy with a short round spin-off. I don't care. But what I'd like is an actual reboot with a young actor that's got 5 movies in him that is just starting the new adventures, not remakes, new adventures, because there's lots of books to work off.
Well, I think that's what they were trying with Chuckles in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with Mutt,
Yeah.
and it just didn't work
But
out.
they introduced him in the wrong way. I didn't have much of an issue with him. I just had an issue with the things they made him do.
Yeah, I thought he was just a bit too old for the rebellious stuff. Like,
Possibly, yeah. But we're going on another tangent here, but going back to Crystal Skull, all that stuff with like the university, the motorbike chase, the brawl in the cafe, some of the best stuff in any Indiana Jones film, I reckon.
yeah,
Like that motorbike chase is spectacular. The fight scene's clever, and it's Indiana Jones using his wits,
yeah.
the way he gets
Like
out
that
of
is
this.
that's much more fun than the actual detective story stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
But, and the whole you got to get out of the library. That's a great line.
Yeah. Anyway, people, thanks. We'll catch you on the next one, or at least on Good Movie Monday.